Hey everybody, we are back on YouTube. It's good to see you guys today. I think that there's some people waiting in the room. Hey Hashem, good to see you. I'm just gonna do a little bit of pre-roll here to make sure that my feed is working all right over there on YouTube. And I hope you guys had a great week. It's been a really incredible week, actually. And I'm really excited to be here with you today. So we are going to be talking about some really cool stuff, how to land and plan higher paying creative projects. And I have a lot of great tactics to share with you today. And also I'm going to be talking about some mindset stuff, which is also really important. And so, wait, got to put my headphones on. I can actually do the live like that without headphones, but the thing is that I hear myself on my headphones, which it gives me an idea of like how loud I am if I'm not like completely overamping. Elizabeth, hey, how you doing? Hashem, Ryan, Joselle, Gustavo, good to see you guys. I am very happy to be here. I'm very happy that you are here and that you've made some time for me. So I am going to close this out because I'm not getting a feed over there, but that's okay. I'm told that it is all good. Okay, so let's get some things out of the way here. I wanted to share with you a couple things. One, that if you didn't know it already, we have started a Facebook group. It's called the Brand Design Masters Facebook group. And it's a private group. You have to, sorry, I'm overamping. I'm going to, like I said, that's where I'm wearing the headphones. Going to turn this down just a little bit. It's a private group. You just have to answer a few questions to get in, but it's for entrepreneurs and creative professionals in order to succeed and grow in the creative economy. Hold on, let me just do something. Just have to adjust the level there for a second. And it is growing really quickly. It's only been around for about a month. There's over 1,000 members at this point. They are creative people from all spectrums, you know, senior C-suite level executive creative directors and agency owners and big agencies all the way down to beginners. And it's a really vibrant group. It's really incredible. There's a lot of awesome stuff going on there. You can ask questions. You can post your work for feedback. It's just really vibrant. I also show up there a lot, so if you want to interact with me on a more regular basis than just watching my YouTube videos or watching the periodic live that I do here, that is the place to find me. So go on over to facebook.com/groups/Brand Design Masters and check out the Brand Design Masters Facebook group. I also want to welcome and thank Joselle Tech, the lovely and talented Joselle Tech, who is my marketing assistant and also the moderator of this group and this conversation. Hey RG, hey Malik, Rafa Graf, Ricardo, Karen, Dan. Hey Dan, good to see you, man. Back. And Joselle has her own agency in the Philippines. It's called The Rolling Media, and she's got a Facebook page too, facebook.com/The Rolling Media. You should check that out. And she's also got a new YouTube channel called Joselle Tech, and she's got a little bit of a bit.ly link right here on the screen if you want to jot that down. So thank you, Joselle, for moderating the conversation today. Joselle is going to be collecting questions as we go through the presentation, and if you have any questions about the content that I'm sharing, type the word question. Here's another graphic that I can put up there. Type the word question in all caps, because that way Joselle can copy it, paste it, stick it in Messenger for me, and then I got all the questions in one list at the end. And so type question in all caps if you have a question. That way when the feed chat goes by, we're not going to lose it and we'll be able to see it. And so Joselle is going to be moderating the conversation, collecting those questions, and being the kind of majority whip and the cheerleader and the question grabber. So that is that. And also, I've got some very cool lower thirds to share with you guys. I haven't shared these, I don't think, in Facebook. The presentation that I'm doing today, I have done twice before. I did it on a Zoom, private Zoom yesterday, and then I also did it a week ago in the Brand Design Masters Facebook group. And so some of you I know have actually seen it before. I'm never surprised when people come back to watch my presentations again, because I offer so much value and so much content that a lot of people miss stuff. And the Zoom presentation yesterday was not recorded, so I understand why people are coming back, which is awesome. And I had some lower thirds designed, which are very cool. And here's one of them. They're animated, they're overlays, they're really nifty. I totally love them. I just want to share them with you guys. They're done by a mastermind member of mine, a friend of mine, Dason Ortiz, who has a company called Motion Master Templates, and he created these for me. And if you haven't subscribed to my newsletter, the Brand Muse newsletter, go to philipvandusen.com/muse, M-U-S-E, and sign up for my newsletter. It comes out about every 2 weeks, sometimes a little less because I've got a lot going on right now. And so check that out. Also, I am on Facebook, the Brand Design Masters Facebook group. There's the URL one more time. So check that out. And on Instagram, it's just my name, at Philip Van Dusen. I'm trying to be a little more active on Instagram these days, rebuilding my page. It's like half brand, half total personal from before. And also on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very good place to connect with me because I am on LinkedIn a lot. I post a lot of written content and carousels and stuff on LinkedIn. And it's also the professional place to be. It is also becoming an incredible hub for creative professionals. So if you are a creative professional or digital entrepreneur and you are not leveraging LinkedIn to the level that you should be, I would definitely connect with me on LinkedIn, and you should be spending more time there. And then finally on Twitter, again, by my name, at Philip Van Dusen. Not as active on Twitter. I show up there, I lurk a lot, but it's not my major platform. And I also have a tendency to kind of retweet political things because I can't help myself these days. So anyway, that's kind of the context stuff for me. All right. Hey, Andrea, Percy, Paolo, Laura, good to see you guys. Higher Grounds Academy, also actually a school showing up. That's awesome. I get a lot of comments from people on my YouTube videos saying, I'm a teacher, I teach at university, I teach at a community college. I show your videos in my classroom, and that makes me feel awesome because I love teaching, I love sharing knowledge, and the fact that that is happening and people are actually taking my video and resharing them in a classroom setting just is fantastic. So if you're a teacher, Higher Grounds Academy, feel free to do that. I don't get noodly about copyright on my videos if you are sharing it for a good cause in the education sphere. I appreciate that. Okay, Sue, L63, welcome. All right, so with all that stuff out of the way, let's jump into some stuff. Now, here's another thing. Some of you who caught this presentation on another platform on Facebook will have seen this before, but I've never done this on YouTube, and I'm totally upping my production game on YouTube, so check this out. Boom. Gotta love that, right? So I use Ecamm Live software. I'm not an affiliate, and I'm not getting compensated for saying that, but if you do YouTube videos, Ecamm Live, or you go live on Facebook or YouTube, it is an incredible piece of software and gives you basically like television studio production, doodads and stuff to play with on your desktop. Great piece of software. All righty. Hey, John. Welcome. All right. Let's jump into some stuff. You guys ready? The thing about Facebook and YouTube, which drives me crazy, I'll just vent for 2 seconds, is that the feed on chat is really slow. It's like, and on Facebook, it's almost like sometimes 45 seconds lag. Here on YouTube, it's about 20 or 30 seconds sometimes. And it's a bummer, especially when you're presenting, because you want to feel like you're having a more genuine conversation with the people who are joining you and giving you their time to listen to your content. And I love to have a back and forth, but when I am 30, 45 seconds behind on the conversation, it's just lame. You would think in today's environment they could get chat to travel more quickly, right? Okay, enough bitching. All right, let's get into this. All right, so let's talk about how to land and plan a successful design project. Sorry, got to activate my slide over there. All right, so I want you to self-identify here a little bit. Do you have these kind of issues? Do you have small projects and maybe even confusion how to handle those projects? What do you need to do? What comes first? How do you project plan it? What are all the moving pieces of a project? How do you look like you know what you're doing? Of course, you want to look like you know what you're doing with your clients. So how do you make sure that you look in control and that you're driving the project and you're driving the situation, you're driving the conversations, so you are a valuable partner and you can drive your client, in some cases, which we're going to get to where you want them to be? And how do you make more money on a project? And that is one of the great tactics that I'm going to share with you today, is about how to upsell and where those opportunities arise in conversations on how and when you can upsell, talking to clients. So this presentation today is for you if you want to have bigger projects, if you want to be more confident and make more money. My head's going to cover up some of this text because I didn't really plan it to do it this way. If your proposals are getting rejected and you want to close more clients, if you're worried about revenue because of COVID, you're going to discover that the market for design is actually better than ever. And a lot of people are saying, getting a lot of pushback from clients around money for COVID. That's true. But the volume of work that is coming out, even in the middle of the coronavirus outbreak globally, is still strong. And if you're not experiencing that, I want to talk to you about it. So we're going to cover how you can win more clients without trying so hard, how you can land big budget clients without being salesy. Try to stay out of the way of the text. And how to write proposals so they're not going to get rejected. Once you get the proposal approved, how do you plan a project so you're not second guessing yourself through the proposal and through the project plan? I want you to think about something. One of the things I shared is that in today's presentation, we're going to be talking some tactics, but we're also going to be talking mindset. And those two things are equally important. You can know how to do things, but if your mindset is not correct when you're doing them or as you're going about growing your business, then your growth is going to be slower. And so I'm going to talk about tactics in part of this presentation, but then I'm also going to talk about mindset of investing in your business and what you need to do to get it to the next level quickly. So imagine you have 5, 10, 20 clients. You're fully booked. You're not getting $500 projects. You're getting 10, 20, 30, 50, $100,000 projects. Imagine what that looks like. What in your life would change? Would your life change? Would your business? Obviously, your business would change. What would happen if you didn't really have to worry? If you didn't have to worry about finding clients? If you didn't have to worry about the size of the projects? How do you get there? Like I said, it's part tactics, it's part mindset. We're going to start with the tactics part of it, but then we're going to get into mindset. And I want you to stick around for that mindset part because it is not woo-woo, it is real. And there are people here in the chat right now, Karen's one of them, who has been a witness to what mindset can do to your business in a very short period of time. So, a little about me. Now, this is going to look like I'm tooting my own horn, but I'm not. The reason why I'm doing this is there's a story here. Bear with me through this story because I'm leading up to something. I've had a 20, 30 plus year career, 20 years in corporate, 8 years in global agencies, 6 years of my own agency. I've been there, I've done that. I've worked agency side, client side. I've been a digital entrepreneur. I own my own global agency. I've been a VP of design at PepsiCo and Old Navy, an ECD at Landor Associates, Anthem Worldwide, worked with 50, 75 Fortune 500, 100 clients. One of the things I've done a lot of is looked at portfolios and interviewed designers. I've been on portfolio review boards of a number of universities and the AIGA. I have interviewed thousands of designers and I've hired probably full-time more than 400 in my life. Freelancers, consultants, agencies, been on board of advisors, etc. Some of my clients are, on this slide, it's a cavalcade of the Fortune 100. And so I've worked with some of the biggest brands and the biggest corporations in the world. I also, in my current agency, work with small to medium-sized businesses and solopreneurs. So I've worked with that entire range of client base. But here's the thing. Here's what I'm leading up to. I have a confession. Yes, I have an advantage over most of you. And I don't know everyone in this group, but I have an advantage. My advantage is that I've had a 20-plus year career and I've worked with some of the biggest brands in the world. But one day, everything changed. In 2014, I burned out. I left a huge corporate job as a vice president of design, and I didn't have my fancy title. I chose to leave it. I just burned out, to tell you the truth. I wasn't really sure I was loving what I was doing anymore. And I didn't have my title. I didn't have my huge salary. I didn't have a paycheck really coming in. I had no clients. I had no agency. I had no personal brand. I was naked. Metaphorically, I was naked. And I'd never posted a piece of content. I have 0 subscribers. I had no email list. I had no social media presences to speak of. I was alone in my home office. I had a 2-3 page website, a black and white bio page website, my resume, and a little teeny slideshow. I had no digital presence whatsoever after a 25 plus year career in corporate and agencies. And so I was stepping into a brand new environment where I knew almost nothing about digital entrepreneurship. I didn't know about email lists or lead magnets or how to leverage pop-ups. I had been working at a very executive level for decades. And I knew very little about how to build an email list, how to do e-commerce on a smaller scale. And so I was in a place where I was a babe in the woods. Even though I had a lot of experience in design, managing people, working with giant clients, when it came to the tactics of succeeding in the creative economy that I was now in, I knew very little, and I had to start essentially again from scratch. And so I realized at that point that I had to invest in myself. So what I did was I joined a paid mastermind group. I knew that I had to add rocket fuel to my learning curve, because if I sat at home in my home office by myself, I knew that my learning was going to be very slow, and I knew that in order to get some money coming in and to build my agency quickly, I had to get up to speed super fast. So I joined a paid mastermind group. And I started learning at an incredible rate because I was exposed to a lot of other digital entrepreneurs, some of whom were much more advanced than I was, younger than I was, older than I was. Some of that were more junior than I was within the industry, so I had things to share with them about branding and design and communication and all that sort of stuff. But it was an amazing experience because I was getting exposed to so many resources and techniques and methods and tactics that it would have taken me years to pick up on that stuff on my own. And so I started a digital agency. I built an email list by starting a newsletter. And I used lead magnets to get subscribers. I started a YouTube channel to attract clients. That's why I started it. And it worked. And I started writing and publishing articles, guest posts, tweeting, engaging. I started appearing on podcasts. I started networking heavily and learning from other personal brand entrepreneurs. And now, this is in 5 years, I have 200,000 YouTube subscribers, some videos out there that have over 1 million views, big newsletter, email list, podcast, my new Facebook group, Brand Design Masters Guild, which is a paid mastermind group, articles on LinkedIn, all of this sort of stuff I built since I was naked, since I came out of the corporate agency world and started this entirely new chapter. And so the reason I'm going through all this stuff is because, I'll just leave these up there for a couple seconds. These are just a few quotes of some of the people that I have either coached or worked with on their brands or worked with at agencies. This is some of the social proof I've gotten just recently. Roberto Blake was saying I had the best design education content on YouTube, which coming from Roberto Blake is pretty cool. He's a good friend of mine. That's not why he said it. One of the comments at the top by this guy named Sam on YouTube said, I learned more from you in 9 minutes than I did in a $675 design class at university. I get a lot of comments like that, which just totally tickle me. And so now, the reason I ran through that bio bit and that kind of coming out of a long, successful career, but then finding myself in an entirely new landscape is an indication of how you can be reborn, how you can reposition yourself, how you can, even after you have a wealth of experience, how you can be completely unprepared for how you have to operate or market yourself in a new way, in a new environment. And so by joining that mastermind group, I advanced so quickly in what I was doing. And that is a tactic that I took. Now, I'm going to transition here into a little bit of the tactics of the content that I want to share with you, but it's going to circle back around to that mindset idea, which was my mindset of realizing that I was naked and that I had to do something in a very different way in order to survive and in order to get to the next level a lot faster. So let's talk about the anatomy of a successful design project. Are you guys ready? Paulo, John, Rachel, Sue, you guys with me? I'll have to wait like 45 seconds in order to hear from you guys, because that's how long it takes. Drives me crazy. All right. Okay. Let's talk about this. Oops, sorry. I lost my slides. What does a successful design project include? Rachel says yes. Sue says yes. Awesome. A design project includes a number of things. When it comes down to it, it's what you have to do, who's going to be doing it, when it's done, and how you get paid. That is what it comes down to. And big or small, giant $250,000 project, $5,000 project, it doesn't matter. The process for building a successful design project is the same. It's just a matter of scale and number of pages in the deck. And so there are basically three categories of activity within a design project. The process of a design project. Hey, John. John says, let's do it. Yes, doing it. Okay, number one. Number one is probably the most overlooked, but the most important aspect of a design project because it affects everything downstream. The introduction and the discovery. And what is included in that is you are qualifying the client, meaning you are finding out what the scope of the project is. You are qualifying that they are capable of paying you the rate that you need to be paid to do the work, and you're pricing the work. But the most important part of it is that last word, upsell. In the discovery conversation, you have the opportunity to expand the scope of the project. They may come to you with an idea of what they want done, but by asking the right questions, you might be able to expand it. Hey, Troy. Troy's ready. Yes. Then you have to plan the work, and that is the proposal and the quote. That's after you get done with kind of an agreement to a top line price. Then you go into, and I'll get into more detail on this in just a couple slides, but then you plan the work. You do the proposal and you do the quote. And then finally, you work the work. You work the project. And that is developing a project plan and executing. So those are the three categories of activity. The introduction and discovery, and the qualifying the client, and the upsell. Let's talk about that first part. You guys with me? Okay. Powerhouse, Tanya, good to see you. Hey, fam. Good to see you. Tanya's a frequent flyer. Okay, so discovery call. In this, we wanted to determine the project scope, the goals, the tactics, and this is what I said, the upsell opportunities. The phases of a discovery conversation. You get the client on the phone. You can do a very quick discovery call that's like 5-10 minutes and just introduce each other. They tell you what they want. You might give them an idea of price, huge ballpark range, and you're either going to scare them away, your prices are too high, or they're going to go, oh, that's fantastic. And then in your head, you're going, oh man, did I not say price it enough? Anyway, or you can have a discovery call. This discovery call could be a half an hour, 40 minutes, where you're qualifying the client. And I actually recommend that people try to have a bit of a longer discovery call as long as you can get an early indication that you are not completely out of the ballpark price-wise. So you want to talk to them about the background information on the company. Oh, so something else I want to add into this is the discovery call before the kickoff of the design project. When you kick off the design project, you've written the proposal, you get your deposit. There's generally a discovery call that is going to be a much, much deeper dive into the business. And that is something else. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the discovery call where you have a prospect and you're getting them on the phone. Okay? You get some background information on the company's product, its service, what they do, what they're offering. Are they retail? Are they digital? Are they physical? Do they have stores? Do they make canned goods? Do they deliver a SaaS product? What is that? Are they a manufacturer? And then you also want to talk about the customer avatar. Who do they see their customer avatar being? This is an upsell opportunity too, even though I forgot to add it after this, is because if they don't have a really clear idea of who their customer is, or they haven't laid out a clear customer avatar, that's an opportunity for you to help them define that and codify that for them. The next one is really important. You ask them the question, do you have any brand strategy? Have you ever done brand strategy as a business? And many companies will say, oh, I have a business plan. Business plans do sometimes include tactical strategic information, but they aren't necessarily brand strategy. Ask them if they have that. And the reason why this is an important question is, number one, it will expose how much they understand about working with a strategic design firm. Number two, it will expose whether they understand or know the importance of brand strategy. And it will show you whether there's an opportunity for you to sell in that to the client. One of the important things about discovery calls is that it's your opportunity to educate the client. One of the comments I get a lot is like, I always have to teach my clients the importance of strategy. I have to teach my clients the ROI of design. I have to teach blah, 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 and they bitch. Yeah, you do. That is your job. Your job is to teach the client this stuff. Why? Because you are the strategic design partner of your client. That is your role. And here's the important part. The more you can teach your client, the more the client is open to be taught, the more you can lead them into the direction that you want them to go. The more you can show them exactly what they have, but more importantly, what they don't have, what the question marks they have in their business, the blind spots they have in their business. If you can expose those things, you can fill the blind spot, right? So that's why you ask about strategy. Also, because strategy and the positioning of the company, the customer avatar, the competitive landscape, all of that sort of stuff about strategy affects and drives all of your design work. All of your creative work is driven by brand strategy. If they don't have it, then you have to either bring in a partner who can develop that for them. You mark up their work, or if you are strategically capable, you can do that work. Is everyone following? Yep. Okay. All right, brand ecosystem. Brand ecosystem, you guys are probably familiar with the phrase, but a brand ecosystem is essentially everything that a client has. It could be their retail store, could be it could be their website, it could be their social media presences, it could be their YouTube channel, it could be content that they have on the web, it could be a podcast that they have, it could be outdoor signage that they do, it could be broadcast television ads that they make. What are all of the different brand touch points? Think of like a spider diagram where you have brand in the center and then a bunch of lines and Around it, a circle of dots. And in each one of those dots is an aspect of their brand and where it exists in the ecosystem. Asking and learning about what their ecosystem is, again, is a huge opportunity, because if you see there's an opportunity for them to be in a place that could benefit their business that they're not in, that gives you a leg up. And to say, oh, what you do could really be communicated very clearly on YouTube. Or you can really reach out to and create curatable content for your customer avatar by posting content or articles or expert research case studies, whatever that is, on LinkedIn. Understanding what their ecosystem is exposes where they aren't, and knowing how to leverage or be a detective and figure out what the blind spots they have are is an opportunity to sell in more work. And then the competition. This is another one that's really, really important. Hey, Waleed, welcome. You have to understand the competition, because any business is not operating in a vacuum. A business operates in the world. The world is filled with competition. There's competition that is premium and charges a lot for what you make and do. They charge a little for what you make and do. There's little teeny mom and pops that do what you do. There's big monolithic corporations that are holding companies that own a whole bunch of companies that do what you do. You have to understand what the entire landscape of the competition is, because what you do or what you decide to do with your brand identity, your visual system, your brand ecosystem, all that sort of stuff, your strategy, all of those things rely on and are dependent on where everybody else is, what everybody else is doing. And if the client doesn't, this is a very exposing question. I cannot tell you how many clients I talk to, you say, who's your competition? And they'll name like one other company. Oh, it's X. And you go, okay, who else? Can you name 5? Can you name 6 that are in your space? High price, low price, geographical area, global companies. And they just kind of like go blank. That is a huge opportunity for you, because you can do competitive research and put a picture together of what their competitive landscape is and help them see where they are in that landscape. That's a strategic, deliverable opportunity for you. And, just to stay on number 6, that is one of the ones that I have found the most effective in scaring the bejesus out of a client, because if they realize and are taught that they do not know in depth who their competition is, what their competition is saying, what they're selling, what they're doing, how they're positioning themselves, how they're presenting themselves, what their brand identities and ecosystems are saying, if they realize that they don't know that, they feel like they got to find that out. And they will pay you to do it because they have no idea how to do it. That's one that I have a lot of success selling, working on. And project goals and project scope. Clients a lot of times come to you with an idea of what they want. We want a website, or we need a YouTube channel, or we need to have an app developed, or we're launching a podcast. What you really want to do in a discovery call is you want to ask the questions about what are the results that they want to see. Because a lot of the time you may find out that the result the client actually wants is not going to be returned by the thing they think they need. We need a new website. Okay, what is the result that you really want to get? Well, we want more people to call us, or we want more traffic to our website. Okay, the website itself is not driving the traffic. The traffic sources are driving the traffic. So if you want more traffic to your website, it may not be designing a whole new website. It may be designing all of your feeder systems that populate and drive people to your website. They could say, oh, we want more people to call us. And so, we have to do a lot more content. You may actually do a audit of their website, find out they're getting a lot of traffic to their website, but people aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. The copy isn't a customer journey. They're not being taken through an identification and kind of an internal customer-focused journey on the website and being told what to do. Maybe they're not clicking the button that says call us or fill out our contact form because they can't see the button, or it's not driving them to that action. And so asking those questions about the results that they want to see will help you determine what it is that they really need to get there. That's an important part of a discovery call. Okay. Sorry, got to stretch. All right. Planning the work. The proposal and the quote. Now, in that discovery call, one of the things that you want to do is when you get an idea of the scope, you may take it offline and say, okay, let me think about our conversation. I'm going to shoot you an email with an idea I have for scope and a ballpark price. And if you agree to that ballpark price, then we'll develop a proposal for you. This is a very important step that a lot of people don't realize, and they waste a lot of time developing very deep, complex proposals only to have them rejected because the client has sticker shock, or they have you've developed a proposal that's not what they wanted, or deeper than they wanted, or shallower than they wanted, or and there's a misalignment. The ballpark quote, which is an email, which has very quick descriptions of the phases of work or the deliverables you're going to deliver and a price range around that deliverable that you get the client to agree to. So coming out of the discovery call, you say, okay, I'm going to shoot you an email in a day or two with a ball, and I'm going to share with you a ballpark quote. If we get an agreement to that ballpark quote, then we will go to the next step and we will develop a full-on detailed proposal which will outline every step and phase. Because proposals, and I'm going to share with you what's in a proposal in a little bit, because proposals can be very complex and take a lot of time to do, you don't want to invest your time and energy and your money, because that's time, in developing a proposal that the client's just going to reject because it's too much money, right? Or you didn't get their idea of what their result was or their deliverable was that they wanted out of the project. So going through this step of the email ballpark quote, it immediately and quickly qualifies the prospect as to whether they can afford what you want to do and whether they agree with what you want to do. And if they don't, and they go, wow, I had no idea it was going to be so much money, you haven't spent an entire day doing a proposal. Or if they say, yeah, that sounds good, you're like, boom, now I feel really good about putting in an hour or 2 days into doing a 15-page proposal for a complex project. Get email agreement to a ballpark price before writing a proposal. It's a very quick, easy, informal way, but it qualifies the prospect. Like I said, at the very beginning of a discovery call, you can say, in general, my websites cost depending on e-commerce and number of pages and all this sort of stuff, they can cost anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000 or $50,000 or whatever that is. And their heads explode, or they go, yeah, that sounds about right. Or we're not going to need e-commerce. And I'm like, well, then you might be in this kind of range. And they're like, oh, all right. But then I'll still do the ballpark quote to get a written sign-off on the quote before I do a proposal. Anyway, don't waste your time. Don't waste theirs. Okay, so what's inside a proposal? You guys ready for this? Sorry, I got to stretch. I'm like, I'm getting tense. All right. I'm going to wait a couple seconds just to see if people are here. Is everyone awake? Anyone have any questions as I'm going through this? Type the word question in all caps, like Hashem just did. And Joselle's going to capture them. Okay. What's inside a proposal? A proposal is a multi-page document, generally a PowerPoint document or a Keynote document. It can be landscape. It can be portrait. I like landscape. I like wide format too. That's what I do. What's in it? Inside a proposal is the high-level project plan, the objectives, the activities, the fees, the timing, the partners, and the contract. All of that stuff is in the proposal deck. But there's also some other stuff in there, and I'm going to walk you through what the pages are in a proposal. Okay, you ready? What if they're comparing proposals? Dan, elaborate on your question, Dan. What if they are comparing proposals? That's a good question. What do what's your eventual question out of that? Hey, Bucky. What kind of deposit? I'm going to answer that question really quickly. 50%. That's what I ask for. And I'll get more into detail around that when I start talking contract and terms later in the presentation. Time check. Wow. Okay. I'm going to have to move faster. All right. Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk about contract terms and conditions. So I do 50%, but there's some nuance to that. Okay. First of all, you want to have an agency introduction, a couple pages. That's, who you are, who's on your team, where your office is, etc. Then you want to have an intro letter. The intro letter can literally be the copy of the email that you're sending that has the proposal attached to it. But you want to have a letter inside the proposal that says, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to bid on this job. We're really excited about helping you do X, Y, and Z. Couple sentences, thank you very much. Nice little letter inside of the proposal. And then objectives and the creative brief. This can be a full-on creative brief if you want to go that far, depending on the depth of the project, or it could just be a slide that has some high-level objectives for the overall aspect of the project. The objectives also are going to fall into the phases of the project too. The next number of pages are the phases of work. This is the high-level project plan. Because of the amount of detail that you need to go into when you design or develop a proposal for a client, the thing you have to understand is some of the stuff that you're going to put in the phases of work or in the proposal are going to be your project. Pieces of that are going to populate your project plan later when you start working the work. So you want to break out all the phases of work. If you're doing, let's say you're doing a strategy and website design project, you're going to do customer avatar, brand strategy, brand positioning statement, brand pyramid. You're going to do customer avatar and a little bit of competitive research. Then you do the website copy, website wireframe, website copywriting, website design, photo curation. You may break out those phases as separate phases. For each phase, on each page of the phase, you have the objectives of the phase, the activities that go into what you're doing when you do the work for that phase, the reviews, how many meetings are there, how many rounds of revisions are targeted, what is the final deliverable, what are you delivering for that phase of work, what are the fees, and what's that phase cost. And one of the reasons why you do this is because later on in the proposal you're going to have a page that has your fees broken out per phase, because sometimes clients might be hit by sticker shock on the price of the entire proposal, but they may decide to drop out a phase or two in order to make it more affordable for them. And then you don't end up losing the whole project. You just lose a phase or two. So breaking out fees per phase can be, sorry, I'm over amping. I'm redlining on my audio here. Breaking out fees per phase can be very helpful. Sorry, my slide's not advancing. All right. Also on every phase page, you want to have timing, the timing of the phase. How long does a phase take? 1 to 2 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, whatever that is. The next section of the proposal that you want is timing or a calendar. This is a high-level calendar showing the phases of work, how they overlap each other. Not super detailed like a Gantt chart, but basic timing and calendar of the project itself. Number 6 is fees. This is the page I was telling you about where you break out and list the phases of work, the fees for those phases, and then a total. You're going to get there's going to be a signature line on that fees page, so they're actually signing off on the fees page of the proposal. And then there is a page for terms and conditions, the contract, and that also has signatures. So if you're working with a client for the first time, they're going to sign 2 things in the proposal: the fees page, which lists all the money, and then the terms and conditions, which are the contractual agreements for the project. The contractual agreements for the project may live on to subsequent projects when you do more projects for that client. But the first time around, you have to have at least two things signed. And you want to get that email that agrees to the ballpark price. Here's something that I also add at the end of a proposal, because proposals can be overwhelming and complex for clients to read. This sort of vernacular and how you describe things is like our language. As creative professionals, we understand this stuff, but a lot of times when clients read it, they're like, what does this mean? What is this thing? What is this phase? I don't understand this. I signed these things, but now what do I do? And so I always put a next step page in there. Like, okay, here are our next steps. If you choose to accept this proposal, sign pages 18 and 19, return them to us as a PDF. Then you pay your deposit. We'll send you an invoice. You pay the deposit, and then we're going to set up a kickoff meeting. Okay, it just gives the very close in, like, what are the next steps? What do I have to do next? It's very helpful to the client that you're guiding them through that process. All right, now let's talk about contracts, terms, and conditions. And because I'm running a little long, I'm not going to go into as much detail in this as I thought that I was. Anyway, so what's inside a contract? Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. It's been a long week. Has it been a long week for anybody else here? Man. Plus, in the Northeast of the United States, it has been hot. It's been like 99, 96 degrees every freaking day, which takes it out of you, even just traveling between places. Okay, so what's inside of a contract? One of the pages of your proposal, you're going to have terms and conditions. This is a contract that the client signs. You are a creative professional. Yeah, you're not a lawyer. Oh, that's something I have to say here. I am not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. This is my disclaimer to you. I am sharing what I do and my perspective on these aspects of contracts. I am not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. I am not saying that what I'm suggesting is illegal where you live or in the business that you're in. Okay? That's my disclaimer. Terms and conditions, contracts, they address and define a number of things. Who? So who are the legal parties who are responsible for signing it? You have to make sure that the person who's signing your contract is the person who should be signing your contract. It should be someone who is legally responsible and bindable to be signing it. It can't be some lower level person. You want it signed by an executive in the company. Payment terms. When are you going to get paid? How much? How do the invoices get sent out? When are the invoices due? Net 15, net 30? Are they due on receipt? What is the deposit? When is that paid? How much is due on completion? Some people do 50% and then 25-25. Some people do 25, 25, 25, 25. It depends on how you want to break it up. It depends on how big the proposal project is. I do 50-50 on almost every project I do. If I do a much larger project, sometimes I break it into 25-25 at the end. So if something went south totally at the end of the project, which has never happened, but if it does, you're not out that whole 50%. When the work starts and when it ends. When does a project start? Materials ownership. So when the project's over, they've paid the final bill. What do they own? What do they not own? You have to spell this out because clients sometimes think, ones who are not that educated or haven't worked with agencies before, they think anything you design for them they own. So you may present 15 versions of an identity and they choose one. They go to final on it. They get all the final artwork and they're like, oh, can you send us all the artwork for the other 15 logos that you did? And you're like, no, because you have to spell out to them that the project payment only includes the final deliverable of the phase. It's not all the content. It's not all the versions. It's not all the concept work. It's not all the not chosen work. You have to spell that out in the contract. That includes IP, copyrights, ownership. When is it transferred? What is transferred? It can be different from different projects. Cancellation, kill fees. This is if a project is canceled at any point in the project. What is a portion of the deposit returned? Is none of the deposit returned? Is there an additional fee that is due if they cancel the project mid-project? That's something that's spelled out in contracts. Responsibilities. So this is important. This and the next one, indemnification. Who's responsible for proofreading and final production? Are you indemnified against legal suits? This is if something happens, so they print They print 100,000 corporate reports that you laid out in InDesign, and there's a major typo in it. You added a 0 to something that makes it millions instead of hundreds of thousands. Big problem. Whose responsibility is that? You don't want that to be yours. You don't want them to have to sue you and you have to pay for the entire print run. You want to make sure that the responsibilities for proofreading and final production are very well spelled out, and you are protected in that, and that you are indemnified against legal suits if there's any errors in the project. When does the contract end? I have a clause in my contract that says after they sign this terms and conditions agreement, that terms and conditions agreement lives on until it's canceled. So every project I do with that client lives on until it's canceled. That way they never have to sign that terms and conditions project again. For every other proposal I do for them, all they have to do is sign the phases and fees section. And then there's project display. Do you have the rights to show the work after you produce it? Online, your website, physically. Some clients don't ever want you to show stuff. If they don't ever want you to show stuff, you should try to get paid more for that, because that is something that's, it affects you negatively. And but anyway, I digress. And finally, storage and maintenance. Who gets the files when? Who's responsible for archiving them? Generally, when delivering final project files, in my contract anyway, it says that I will maintain them. I will do my best to maintain them for a period of a year, after which it's the responsibility of the client. I accept no responsibility for being an archive of their creative work till the end of time. And there's also a clause in there that says, hey, due to the nature of digital things, if there is a major server failure and I lose everything I've ever done, then I'm not going to get sued for it. Anyway, that stuff's in there too. I know I'm being a little flip about some of these things, but those are some of the major kind of aspects that are inside of a client. Sorry, long week, like I said. Inside of a terms and conditions contract. This is my contract. Yeah, you can screen grab it, but you can't use it. And so all of those sections are in this. It's an eye chart. And this one is a much shorter one, more simple one that I used at the very beginning of my agency, but I found and realized there were so many holes in it, it really didn't protect me for the sort of projects that I was doing, so I changed over to a longer one. And I want to mention to you, though, that here's one of the things about terms and conditions contracts. Yes, you're a creative professional. Yes, you do design. Or you're an entrepreneur. You may not be a numbers person. You're not a lawyer. But the thing you want to do is you want to read through your terms and conditions contract with your attorney or whoever it is that you're working with in order to do that, and understand deeply every single phase, every single clause of it and what it means. Because you have to understand what your liability is and what it is not. Because your clients may ask you questions about it and you want to know what those answers are. And you just personally, you should be responsible for knowing the real truths around what your terms and conditions contracts are. So let's talk about working the work. There's 6 major pieces of a project plan. The project plan is mostly internal. And so this is when you as an agency or a group of people or a group of partners are going to be working the project. What are those 6 pieces? So the first of all is the what. The what, number one, comes mostly from your proposal. And this is the reason why you do a robust proposal in the first place. Number one, you're outlining the scope of work, the phases, the deliverables clearly for the client to understand, but also you're having to think through that yourself so you can price it appropriately. And so you can then use it for the project plan at the end when you get working the work. Also the when, so the timeline, the calendar, the critical milestones, and who is doing what when if there's multiple partners on the project. Another aspect of this is RACI, R-A-C-I, which stands for Responsible, Accountable, Consulted, and Informed. And what that means is who on the client side is responsible for approving the work, who's accountable for the decisions, who's just consulted. I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to inform you. These people are just informed of what we're doing. They're not involved in the process. They're not making any decisions. You have to be clear on who the decision makers are, because big projects with larger clients and larger numbers of stakeholders in a company can get very sticky politically if you don't understand who has the rights to make comments and make decisions and say something is approved or not. Underlings can derail things very easily if you don't understand what the RACI is, what the decision-making tree is of a project. This is a Gantt chart. A Gantt chart shows phases of work. This is for you that you would develop on a deeper level for a complex project that has each phase of work and each major step of the phases of work in a timeline chart, and how those phases either run concurrently or overlap each other. Currently, sequentially, or whether aspects of them run concurrently, meaning they overlap each other, and who is doing them and what and when. Showing a project in great detail like this helps you plan it out and get your head around sometimes a very complex project. Who's doing it? Who's your team? Who are your partners? But also, who are the stakeholders on the client side? You want to be clear about that and make sure you're gathering and understanding who the stakeholders are. Who it's presented to, who approves it, who it's delivered to. And then fourth is how. What is the communication? What's the communication plan? How many meetings are you having? What are the methods and preferences the client has for communication? Do they want to just communicate in email? Do they want to just use Slack? They want to use Asana? Do they prefer phone calls or texts? Clearly laying out what the communication pathways are going to be are going to make things simpler, and also your client's not going to get annoyed because you are going to be communicating the way they prefer to be communicated to. And then 5 is, what do you need? So what is the infrastructure? What is the stuff you need to do the work, right? You may need to gather stuff from the client. And so you may need to go out and say, I need your brand documents. I need your business plan. I need that research project you had done last year. Any kind of resources or materials, brand guidelines, brand work, you may need to get from the client. Are there other contributors in the project who are not in your agency? Are there other stakeholders in the project who are working parts of this larger whole that you need to communicate or develop relationships? What are those interdependencies? And then infrastructure. Infrastructure is things like real tactical stuff. The applications you're going to use, project management software, shared drives, file management, etc. You want to spell that out because you may have to make those decisions with the client, right? We're going to distribute our work to you via, FTP server or Dropbox, whatever that is. Thing to remember is that project plans are living documents. They change. Timelines get blown up, and then you have to reconfigure everything. You don't want to lose your head about it. Just realize that they change and expect that they're going to change. You have to be flexible. People inside of the organization or client side that you're working with get just as frustrated with the stuff that happens with them internally. But so you just want to understand and not get your panties in a wad when things either twist or change or get altered in some way. It's bound to happen. And if you expect that it is going to happen, then you don't get all flustered when it does. You want to plan the work, and you want to work the plan. All right, so let's recap. What did we learn today? Now, here's the recap. The recap is tactical stuff. This is tactical stuff. And then I'm going to talk about some mental mindset stuff right after this. And I want you to stay for that because you are going to learn something that may catapult your business faster forward and make it more successful in a shorter period of time. And I guarantee this, actually. All right, you ready? How to qualify a client through a ballpark estimate. We talked about the ballpark email. We talked about how to make projects bigger by asking the right questions in the discovery call, right? And building for the results they want and not for what they think they need. They may come to you and say, I need an X. And you go, what are the results you need? And the results aren't going to be delivered by the X that they just said that they want. Very early on, if you're that kind of a detective, and you can show them you understand and want them to succeed and get the results they want, that's one of those places that starts to create this trust bond. between you and the client, where they realize that you are going to be more than a service provider. You are going to be a business partner. And that's the relationship that you want to establish with clients, because those sorts of relationships live on. And repeat clients are better than new clients. How to get paid more through upselling opportunities, right? We talked about that. How to write a bulletproof proposal that gets signed because you've gotten an approval on a ballpark estimate and there are no surprises. What to put into a contract so you can protect yourself. How to structure your next design project with those major key points of working the work. And also how to confidently plan that project so you feel like you got your you-know-what together. All right, so question. Do you feel like your time invested here today on this YouTube Live has been valuable? Will you answer that for me in the chat? Has your time invested in this been valuable to you? Now, those were tactics, right? You learned some tactics. Now, what are we going to do when we talk about mindset? One of the things that when you upsell to clients, one of the methods you use to sell in more work or to have them pay you for some result that has not happened yet is that you're asking your clients, you're telling them that they need to invest money in branding so their businesses can grow in the future, right? So their businesses grow in the future, they need to spend money now. Businesses expect that. Most businesses spend anywhere from 10 to 20% of their annual revenue in marketing and business development. They spend money in order to make money. They advertise and then money comes in. 20% of their annual revenue is generally geared towards advertising, spending money to make money in the future. And that's what you are communicating to your clients. So I want to ask you that question about your own business. So what would you invest in order to get a $200,000 project? What would you invest in advertising or marketing or business development so you could land a $20,000 project? Would you invest 20%, $4,000 to get a $20,000 project? Would you invest 10%? Would you invest $2,000 to get a $20,000 project? I'm sorry, I know I was stumbling over some numbers there for a second. What would you invest to make $200,000 next year? Would you invest $40,000? Would you invest $20,000, 10% of that? You have to get into the same mindset that businesses do. You have to get into the mindset that you are going to make an investment that is going to lead to success, abundance, revenue. And a lot of creative professionals and personal brand people don't get that. And that is a mindset shift that is important to adopt. You're telling your clients they need to do it. And lots of times what you do for them does return those results. They do get that benefit in the future. But have you adopted that sort of practice for yourself? At the creative professions, we have to do that too. And I told you that whole story at the very beginning for a purpose. And this was the purpose, is that I invested money in a paid mastermind group when I left corporate big agency industry, when I was naked in my office by myself, metaphorically. And I joined a paid mastermind group because I needed to invest to get to revenue in the future. And so my question to you right now is, for you, what is your plan? What's your plan? You have three choices, really, when it comes down to it. How are you going to achieve the benefits of a mastermind? I want to ask you, what would you invest? How could you get there? You have three options. You could do things the way you've always done them, and you can hope for the best. Or you can do things on your own. You can try to build the mechanisms of a mastermind group on your own and do the things on your own that a mastermind does. What would that look like? How much would it cost to do that? What's your investment to get the benefits of a mastermind group? You could go to a conference, right? First of all, no one could go to conferences right now. But let's say you went to a conference, basic conference, hotel, travel, probably about $3,500, $3,600, right? But that doesn't include networking, in-depth networking, more than a hello or a conversation, partnerships, feedback, accountability, support, any kind of a Facebook community, additional resources. That's $3,600 just to go to a conference. Okay, let's look at it a different way. What if you did in-depth networking? What if you, on solo, you decided, I'm going to take 9 people and I'm going to go in-depth and build partnerships and networked relationships with these people. I'm going to invest 6 hours of time talking to each of these people over a period of a few months. Your time, let's say, is worth $75 an hour. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's worth $150 an hour. That, and not including logistics of setting up the calls and emailing back and forth and saying, when are you free and all that sort of stuff. The cost of that Zooming with 9 people for 6 hours a piece is about $4,000, right? That's an investment. If you did a conference to meet those 9 people and then you Zoomed with them afterwards to develop that deep relationship, you got to add those two numbers together. Now we're up to about $7,500, $7,600. Another way of doing it is to do one-on-one coaching with me. I do professional, creative professional career coaching and executive coaching and business consulting. I charge $400 an hour for that. 13 hours with me, $5,200. So if you wanted to do 13 hours of coaching directly with me to make huge leaps in your business quickly, that's what it would cost you. So if you invested in this stuff yourself, those are the sorts of costs you're looking at. The third option is doing it with us. Doing it with the Brand Design Masters Guild, which is a mastermind group that I run. The first one, Brand Design Masters Guild 1, is going on right now. Some of the people in that group, I think, are still here in the chat. It looks like this. The Brand Design Masters Guild is a 12-week-long program where you do 1-hour Zoom calls once a week, and the group is with 10 people, me and 9 other people. And they are all deeply invested in making their businesses grow and achieve the revenue that they want in the future, but quickly, and get up to speed and makes things move. And what does the guild include? The guild includes 12 1-hour Zoom calls over a 12-week period of time. You get 1 to 2 hot seats. A hot seat is when everyone in the group focuses on your problem. You say, okay, this is the goal that I want to get to. And everyone, for 15 or 20 minutes, they put you in the hot seat and they are solving, everyone is putting their brain power into solving your problem. It's an amazing experience to go through. And you'll get 1 or 2 of those within that period of time. The one thing I want to mention, though, is that you get as much out of other people's hot seats as you do your own. Because a lot of times, as you hear other people trying to help someone else and solve their problem, they're talking about resources or methods or tricks or tactics that you could use for your business. So it doesn't matter that it's not your hot seat. Being in that environment gives you an incredible amount of information and resources. And then you'll also have a series of one-on-one Zoom calls over 12 weeks with fellow guild members. So you get the group meeting, 1 hour a week, but then you also get one-on-one meeting with another guild member, and they rotate through that 12 weeks. The other thing to remember here is that one of those guild members is me. All of these Zoom meetings are recorded, and they are available to you for re-review 24/7. You also get a private Facebook group where there are new rules. It's not like the Brand Design Masters group on Facebook where there are certain things you can't do because you got to herd the cats. In this group, it's only the members of the guild. You can ask questions, you can get feedback, you can share ideas and resources, you can post stuff, you can share your successes and challenges, you can create videos and put them up there, you can share PDFs, you can do links and content, you can put memes up there. It doesn't matter. There's no rules. It's where everybody in the guild meets and interacts and builds community when we're not on a Zoom. And then you also get direct guidance and feedback and from me and from your peers in setting goals. And then periodically we may bring in experts to talk about specific themed topics that are voted on by the group. That may or may not happen depending on the group conscious, what the group wants. This is what the Facebook group for Guild 1 looks like. As I said, it's a private Facebook group. This is the product that has a welcome section. All the replay videos are within this, and resources get posted inside this as well. Plus, on top of that, this is some of the key important things, is you're going to get an instant network of professional partners that have your back. You also get an instant network of professional partners who understand your business intimately, and they want you to succeed, and you want them to succeed. It is a positive, reinforcing environment. And a lot of times, and this is what we're seeing in guild number 1, is that a lot of times people utilize each other as subcontractors in projects. So it's like immediately getting kind of a network of professional working partners too. And you get the encouragement and accountability to achieve their goals. You can sharpen your design and strategy and marketing skills through 9x what you already know or what you can do on your own. And the resources and the ability to land more projects at higher rates. And I'm going to share with you, this is important. I don't want you guys to leave because I'm going to share with you actual honest to goodness hard results from guild number 1, which as I said is still going on, and that they have seen hard results to their businesses, and it's blowing me away. Rocket fuel to rapidly grow your business. These are some of the quotes. I'm going to move out of the way. These are some of the quotes of some of the people who are currently in guild number 1. Amazing. So much inspiration and support. It gave me the confidence to tackle all the tasks I needed to start my new business. One of the best professional decisions I ever made. Helped me cut through the BS and make my business from the very first call. These are real people in guild number 1. Now, this is what I said I was going to share with you, which I think is pretty amazing. These are some of the members' results that we're seeing in guild number 1 right now. Guild number 1 is 12 weeks long. It's been running for a month, 2.5 months. It's coming towards the close. One member landed a national bank as her first client before even formally launching her agency, within weeks of the beginning of the guild. Another member landed a $20,000 project with a fashion client and is hiring another member of the guild as a subcontractor. A member of the guild is engaging with a $70 million company and preparing an $80,000 project proposal, and is also engaging 3 other guild members as subcontracting partners in that proposal. That landed when she was in the guild. Another member had landed a luxury yacht client before she came to the guild, but in the guild she decided she really wanted to niche down and segment around just luxury yachts as her client target. And she got her second luxury yacht project within weeks of joining the guild. And then another guild member started the guild. This is the most junior member of the guild, who started with no real active design projects. Sorry, there you go, you can read it. And was hired by 2 other members for project work. So this is a more junior person who had no active projects coming into the guild, but she was very smart and very strategic thinker, and very driven young woman. And she was picked up and used as a subcontractor by other guild members just by being in the guild. And so we call this the guild effect. The result, and this is the interesting thing, within days, and I know this is a little woo-woo. It might be a little bit to swallow. And I am a very technical, kind of hard nails guy. But within days of people making the investment and joining the guild, a lot of them got new clients, or they saw major shifts in their business very quickly within the first couple weeks. And I wholeheartedly believe it is because they made an investment and their mindset shifted. And that mindset manifested itself. Karen, who just typed, "It's real," is that person, one of those people who got one of those giant projects. And it's kind of mind-blowing, but it's true. The guild effect is real. Membership in the guild, this 12-week program, is $14.97. You know, when I ran through all those numbers of what it actually costs to do it on your own, think about this. You're going to have 12 hours with me alone and the rest of the guild members. tinyurl.com BDM-mastermind is the URL. It's a little form. It's got, you answer some questions. It's an info gathering form. And at the end, it says, are you prepared to make the investment for $14.97? If you click yes, you are going to get a one-on-one Zoom call with me to discuss your participation in the guild and ask any questions you have about it. And in that form, you want to write down a little bit about what your business is and what your goals are. So when I do have that call with you, I'm going to be able to understand where you're coming from and if you're a good fit for the guild, because I curate the members of these guilds. I don't just accept anybody. It has to be a good group of people. Otherwise, you don't get the results that we're seeing. And so I'm not saying it's exclusive, because there are people who are very junior. There are people who are very senior in the group that we're in right now. But it has to be the right fit. So we'll discuss whether it's the right fit for you. A special added bonus is that you're going to get, as I said, there's those one-on-one revolving meetings over that 12 weeks. You're going to get a one-on-one hour consultation directly with me, which I said is a $400 value on its own. And I'm in all the other 12 calls as well on a hot seat for you. So if you do that math, the enrollment for this closes August 6th. I already have, and I'll get to like how many spots we have left. It's not empty at this point. Enrollment is going to close August 6th. So I'm doing interviews over just the next few days with people who are very interested, have clicked yes, they're prepared to make the investment. And so it's going to be closing out very soon. There are 4 seats left. And in fact, really, there's more like 2, possibly 1, because I have 3 or 4 other interviews set up right now to talk to people about their participation who have indicated they are ready to make the investment. But it is also first come, first serve. So if you are ready to make this investment and you fill out that form and you schedule a Zoom call with me at your earliest convenience, you may be able to make it into the guild. There's just a couple seats left. Prices are going to go up in 2021. I thought I was going to raise prices for Guild 2, but I decided to keep them the same because of COVID, to just help the community a little bit, but still be able to obviously, support my business. But prices are going to go up in 2021. I can guarantee that. You might be thinking that money's tight. This is what you're saying in your head. Money's tight. I'm not sure about the future of design. The business world is tight. I'm not getting as many projects. I personally, in the network that I revolve in, as well as Guild Number 1, we are seeing zero slowdown in the amount of work coming in because of COVID. In fact, there is more work than usual. And this is something I said at the very beginning. Why? Why is there more work than usual? There's more work than usual because everyone's sitting at home and they're looking at their digital brands and they're having the time to think about what they actually need to change. They're not going in and out of the office. They've gotten rid of all that commute time. A lot of the major projects in their corporation have slowed down or gotten, thinner. They are looking at their businesses and trying to improve them. And so there's a lot of work coming down the pipe. Sorry, I'm still going red because I get excited. You might also be thinking, I don't have the money to spend on a mastermind right now. And what I would say is, I want you to check your mindset. Are you, what would you invest to land a $20,000 project right now? 10%? $2,000? That covers the guild price. 20%, which is $4,000? What would you invest to make $200,000 next year? Would you invest 20%, $40,000? That is about what? I don't know how many guild price. That's like 30 guilds, right? To make $200,000 next year. If you did this alone, conference hotel, $3,600. Networking Zoom calls on your own, $4,000. One-on-one coaching with me, $5,000 plus. And in any of those scenarios, you're not getting any of the rest of the stuff. The Facebook group, the accountability, the support, the community, the resources, the business partners who could hire you as a contractor or you could hire as a contractor. You're not going to get the video recordings. And so I want to ask you one final question. Remember, you tell your clients they need to invest money in your branding, your creative services, your design, your videos, your editing, whatever it is that you do, so their businesses can grow in the future. Here's the question I need to ask you, and this is about the mindset. How much have you, really, like dollars, how much have you invested in business development, advertising, knowledge gathering in your business this year to get to the next level? How much have you invested? You know you need to invest in your business before it will grow. And the people who are in Guild 1 made that choice, and they are seeing the dividends of it. Take advantage of this opportunity. It's a very limited number of people that I see in these guilds and that experience this experience. All these incredible bonuses, and I hope that you choose to make the investment to grow your business in the future and experience the guild effect for yourself, because it's pretty incredible. And there are people in the chat right here who can attest to it. So this is the URL you can go to fill out the form and express your interest and your readiness to make that investment. tinyurl.com, BDM-mastermind. Someone, hopefully Joselle, we had a problem yesterday when I did this on a Zoom that that URL was broken. Tragedy. It was broken, but we believe we got it fixed. So I just want to double check if someone could just go to that URL and make sure that it loads. We'll make sure that that URL works. And that's it. And so I'm open to questions. Particularly, I want to entertain questions about the guild first. I know that there were questions that came through during the presentation about project planning and all those aspects of the tactical things that I shared. But I want to entertain questions about the guild too, because the people who have stayed through, I want to make sure that I want to value everybody's time. You know, I value everybody's time. That's why my videos are 5 minutes long. But I wanted to give you this value. So with that, I am going to switch cameras again. And I'm going to come back to my little virtual office. Sorry, I'm going to get a little drink. Question, do we need to have a business plan to join the guild? No, we don't. No, you don't. You don't need to have a business plan. Some people come with a kernel of a business idea. There is a member of the guild number 2 who is coming in after, and much like me, she's had a long corporate career, and she is now launching a lifestyle brand. And she's building an email list, publishing a newsletter, getting her website together, getting her content together. It's in a gestation period, and it is incubating. You do not have to have a business plan. You can have goals and ambition and an idea of where you want to go. And we will help you get there fast. That's what it comes down to. We will help you get there fast, much faster than you would ever get there on your own. And actually, there's someone in the chat right now who is developing her agency and landed this huge client, but she's still actually trying to articulate what her agency is from her own positioning standpoint. And we're helping her do that. But that hasn't stopped her business from like getting business. She's basically kind of like changing the tires on the car when it's racing down the expressway. Colette asks, Philip, what have you learned about your business because of Brand Design Masters 1? What have I learned about my business? Well, one of the things that you guys know that I'm a teacher at heart. I started off my career teaching. My YouTube videos are all about teaching. I also have an agency. I work with clients on branding, strategy, business consulting. And one of the things I've learned about through the guild is that I get more energy from helping people grow their businesses and have aha moments and see these huge jumps in learning and activity and success, that I'm trying to pivot my business away from agency and client work and to do more of this stuff. Video courses, masterminds, communities, and I don't talk about my business in the guild. I don't participate in that way. But one of the things that the guild has been an experiment for me in is that I am consciously pivoting my business over the next year to be mostly about the stuff, because it fills me with so much energy and so much true fulfillment. That's what I've learned about my business. And okay. Any questions about the guild? I'm going to cruise back through this and just look at guild questions, and then I'll answer other questions. Okay. Put any guild questions. I'm going to keep it at the end of the chat. Sorry. If anyone has any other guild questions. And I'm going to wait. I'm going to put this URL on the screen. Sorry, got to bring this up. I have to find it in the list. There we are. That's where you can go if you're interested. Okay, I'm going to zoom back to kind of way back at the beginning. How much is important I have a channel with content on process? I don't know what that means. I'm sorry, Paulo. Paulo, can you restate that? And I have a feeling it's an English barrier thing, but how important I have a channel with content on process? I'm sorry. I don't get that question. Where does benchmarking fit within the plan? Benchmarking. Within the project plan? Hashem, where does benchmarking your client against their competitors? Is that what you mean? If you're still here, clarify that question. Dan asks, what if they're comparing proposals? Yeah, and I kind of answered this as I was going through the content. Sorry, Hashem says yes. Where does benchmarking fit in? Yeah, benchmarking is against your competition. That fits into a competitive audit where you're doing, and that, as I said, is one of the biggest opportunities for strategic design companies to get a phase of work that they were never expecting to get by exposing the lack of knowledge a business has about their competition, and to show them some case studies of tools of things that you have used and developed for other companies to show where their competition is, who they're doing, what they're doing, how they're doing it, how they're communicating, where they're showing up, what kind of social they're doing, what kind of traffic they're getting, all that sort of stuff that they have no idea about their competition. They don't understand their competition. They don't understand where their competition falls in the value landscape. They don't, and so there are tools you can use to map those things out for your client, which will make where they fall in the marketplace that much clearer. And that's where benchmarking comes in. It comes in a competitive audit type of phase. It seems you still have to spend the time creating the proposal if they're interviewing multiple designers and comparing prices and proposals. That is called a shootout, Dan. And if you are in a shootout, meaning they put a RFP out, a request for proposals. They've put out a project that, and they put out the creative brief for the project, and they're accepting proposals. If it's a sizable project and it's worth it for you to invest the money with the chance of getting that project, then yes, you do have to develop a proposal. Large agencies do that all of the time. But companies also abuse that privilege of doing that very often, and they may have an agency of record or an agency that they've already decided will probably get the job, but the procurement department within the company is requiring them they are requiring them to get other bids. So they will ask 3 other agencies to develop proposals. Those agencies spend 3 or 4 days and tons of man hours doing a detailed proposal, and they've already decided who's going to get the gig. That happens a lot. And agencies have started to charge for proposals. And fewer and fewer agencies are participating in unpaid RFPs because of the level of abuse that has been exposed and happens so regularly on the client side from that process. So that's up to you. It's up to you whether you want to invest whatever time and energy and money in developing a proposal if you're in a shootout. You're welcome, Hashem. Okay. Sue asked, does this include post-project support? No, it doesn't. I mean, I take that back. Say if you designed a website, you designed a WordPress website. In the proposal, you would generally say, We will support the plugins and the working of the website for a month or 3 months after the project. But then you say, after that period of time, you would need to engage us for a retainer for maintenance, backup, optimization of the website. And you make that a product that you can make money on retainer. Some people say when they deliver it, they'll support it for a month or whatever. You can draw that line wherever you want to draw it. But that is a product that you can sell, retainers of maintenance of your work over time. Elizabeth asks, will you provide slides available for this after? Nope, I won't. Sorry. You have to be here, and the video is going to be available, but this content is content that I give away for free here, but may be repackaged for in courses or videos or products that are for sale. So, no. What if I quote $1,000, but time becomes double? How do I best tell the customer may not have really mentioned it in the quote? You quote $1,000 and a certain amount of time, but then the time doubles. That is always a problem in any project, that you go into, excessive numbers of revisions. Those are the sorts of things that you have to kind of position with the client at the beginning. When you say, if it's hourly, then I usually report hours back to the client. If it's a deliverable, you just have to make your best guess about what it's going to take to get that deliverable. And problematic clients destroy the profitability of projects all the time. But the better you are at quoting and learning accurately what it takes you on average to deliver a project, then you won't find yourself in that situation as often. But it still happens. It's just the nature of the beast. And I got to tell you, it's not just in the creative professions. It happens in every profession, that you bet a certain amount, but it ends up, you eat into your profitability by kind of reactions of the client that are out of your control. Okay. I think that's it. That's all the questions I've got. Wait, question: a channel with content like you is important to get best clients. A channel with content about design like you is important to get the best clients. Paolo S. I developed my content for a number of reasons. I wanted to help creative professionals learn and get better and be able to offer more services so they could bulletproof their careers in this new, very difficult creative economy. With the commoditization of design across the globe, designers have to up their game. They have to become deeper, more meaningful business partners to their clients. And I decided I'm going to teach them how to do that. I also spent the entirety of a lot of my career developing strategic projects for billion-dollar companies using methodology that makes them successful. And I knew that there would be a way to scale down that methodology so entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, small to medium-sized businesses could afford the sort of strategy that the giant corporations pay for regularly, and it could benefit their businesses as much as it does these larger corporations. And so when I started my own agency, that was my call to action, was that I was going to take these processes and methodologies and tactics that I had used throughout my entire career, and I was going to put them to use to a different customer avatar and benefit their businesses because of that. So I wanted to teach entrepreneurs and business people about the value of this stuff on my channel. And I also want to teach creative professionals how to do it. That's the overlap that I do. Someone I was talking to recently, actually, I think it was Hashem, who said, I'm essentially like a matchmaker. I take entrepreneurs and who value and need strategic branding and design, and I take creative professionals who need to learn strategy and strategic design. And I find the commonality of those two things and make each one of those cohorts meaningful to each other and valuable to each other. So that's kind of what I do. So that's it. No more questions. New comments. Wait. Oh, sorry. Scrolling down. Tanya, thank you. It's great to have you here. Colette, it's great to have you here. Colette says, I want to make it clear, Philip didn't ask me to be here. I love sharing the success because of the guild effects is real. And Colette is a powerhouse, and she is in guild number 1. And I did not pay for people to be here. I did not. And here's the thing. This is what kind of blows me away. These people, there were 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 people from guild number 1 who were here watching this. And they get time with me every week. And they've actually heard this presentation before, and they're still here because they're cementing what I'm sharing in terms of these tactics into their heads, because they have that desire and they're making that investment to make their businesses better. And every one of those people that you saw in there is seeing significant jumps in their business because of this. And that, when, you know, the change in my business I'm seeing because of Brand Design Masters Guild number 1 is that. It's just blowing me away. Paolo, you're welcome. Karen, good to see you. Sue, Tanya, Dan, good to see you again, Dan. Dan's a regular. Hashem's a regular. That's so cool. It's so great to see all you guys. And thank you, Joselle, for moderating this for me. The wonderful and talented Joselle Tech of the Rolling Media, who is also a marketing partner of mine. And helps me deeply with my business. I want to thank you so much. So that's it. Thank you guys so much. I've run on much longer than I thought that I was going to run on. So this has been great. If you have any other, go to tinyurl.com/bdm-mastermind. Fill out that little jot form if you are interested in seeing what the guild could do for you. I would love to have a Zoom and talk to you. If you are ready to make that investment to get the results in the future. That is the mindset shift that you have to make. And it's a leap of faith. You can ask anyone who's in guild number 1. It's a leap of faith because the first couple times you do it, it's really uncomfortable. Creative professionals are not used to thinking that way. Businesses are, but creative professionals aren't. But once you do start thinking that way, things change. And I am going to leave you with that. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. I'm going to throw one thing back up on the screen, and that is the Brand Design Masters Facebook group. If you're not a member of, I'm going to make this larger. If you're not a member of the Brand Design Masters Facebook group, go to facebook.com/groups/Brand Design Masters and join. It's a private group. Yeah, answer a couple questions, but you'll get in. It's an amazing community. Please join us over there. And with that, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend and a great week next week, and I will catch you on the flip side. Okay? Bye, everybody.